different things, but basically how our faith has gotten us through college and how it kind of impacts our college life, because we are both now seniors in college, which is just
so freaky,
so wild. But of course, as you know, welcome back to Caffeinated and Called. So we have to have our caffeinated beverages. What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper from no other than Wawa.
Love Wawa.
So good.
Regular Dr. Pepper?
Yep, plain old Dr. Pepper,
Wow.
just as it comes. What are you drinking, Grace?
Well, I'm also drinking Dr. Pepper from Wawa.
Alright guys, so we're gonna jump in.
Okay guys, before we get into our yap and chat about our topic, we are going to kind of do a little bit of an icebreaker every single time, a little fun fact about us. And today's question is going to be, what's our current obsession? Piper, what's your current obsession this week?
Okay, putting me on the spot. I think I'm going to say, my little elf lip balms. And funny story is that I found one in the washer because I have so many everywhere. I was switching over my laundry today. I found one just sitting in the washer. So yeah, that goes to say they're always with me. They're in my pocket and I wash them.
Obsessed.
Truly. What are you
We love
obsessed with?
Well, my current obsession might be a little weird, and it shows you how much of a mature adult I am. It's soap. It's hand soap, dish soap, like kitchen spray, cleaning spray, all of it. It's the Myers Snowdrop scent. It specifically has to be the Snowdrop scent, to the point where they're both sitting over there in my kitchen. It's in my bathroom. I also
You bought it in bulk.
I bought it in bulk. And I in fact did buy it for Christmas presents for other people because it's so good.
And now it's the point where, like, if you wash your hands at Grace's house, you will smell like Grace for the rest of the day. And the worst part about it is I think it's limited edition.
It is in fact limited edition. We're going to talk about how our faith plays a role in our college life. The first thing that kind of comes into both of our minds when we kind of brought this up was the ministry that we're a part of. Take it away.
All right, I'll take it away. So we are both leaders for Delight Ministries at campus. We kind of mentioned that before. My role is really heavy on connections and like social media. That's content creation. That's photography. All the things. And then Miss Grace here.
And for our Delight Ministries chapter at UNF, I am the team director. So I'm leading our chapter and our team. But I just love our team. They're so sweet. We kind of wanted to dive a little deeper and share with you guys some of the amazing highs that we've seen throughout this semester as leaders on this team, but also some of the really, like, the lows, because there's good and there's bad. There's mountains with the valleys. Do you have one that comes to mind?
So at the beginning of our chapter, our semester rather, how we do it is each leader will have like a small group of girls that we'll just stick with through the semester and really connect and like do the Bible study with them. And our goal is to really like build those connections with these girls and like make an impact on them. And I remember when we really first started, I was getting very discouraged because I knew that God had put me in this small group for a reason, but I didn't know what that reason was. And I just felt like that the girls were not being very receptive, and it all was coming back to like, oh, it's me. And at that point I was like getting down on myself, and we were probably 3 or 4 weeks in, and it wasn't until I got a message from one of the girls, which I would never have expected, but the message was that I just want to know how much I adore you and how thankful I am that you're my leader. And that literally like blew my mind, blew my perspective on everything, because that just goes to show that the Lord can work through you in ways that you would never know. And it just goes to show that He's moving their hearts in ways that I never saw. These girls that I'm thinking are sitting on their phones or just totally disinterested in the conversation, they're coming to me later being like, you low-key kind of changed my life. And that's just kind of crazy thinking about, like, hindsight in. So I would say that can go for like a high and a low in itself. It's hard, but it's very rewarding. Can you share some of your experiences as team director?
Of course. So I have a couple different ones. So as team director, I have a whole bunch of different responsibilities than my leaders, but at the same time, when it comes down to it, I'm doing a lot of what my leaders are doing as well, and on the same level as them. So I also do have a small group, like Piper said, and I have my small group of girls. And it came with a lot of highs and lows. A big high that I do want to mention is one girl came in. I don't think she was here first week of our like big kickoff event. She came in first week of the book series that we did. And she came in, and every week she would come in and she would just talk about how she was not doing great and she couldn't find the Lord where she's at, and that you could just tell she just needed the Lord, but she felt like the Lord was not evident and present in her life in every circumstance she was going through. So it was a constant thing, and I continued to try and show up and be intentional and really just show her like the Lord is there, but it's okay to not feel him sometimes. And feel he's not present even though he is. And I just kind of walked with her, and seeing her every Monday kind of walk through this like transition of one day. Like she immediately came in and I would ask about her day, and she went, this is the first time I can actually say I'm doing so good. And she was genuinely so happy. You could tell like the Lord was literally radiating through her. And then weeks after, like, of course she still had highs and lows, but she was just doing amazing. And she was finding the Lord in every situation that she would talk about. In every hardship, she would like just be like, I want the Lord to do what he's going to do, even if it's not the best thing for me.
Yeah.
And I think that was so cool to see, where she was like, there was a point in time where she was like, I need him. I need my boyfriend to walk with me with the Lord. And if it's not what's destined by the Lord, then like take it away gently. But like she couldn't. She wanted what the Lord wanted. And I think that passion and that like drive and that joy is just so amazing to see, especially as a leader, where you're able to just like see that transition.
Yeah.
And know that you in some way aided that, and like the Lord is working through you. So cool. So that was super, super exciting. A really big mountaintop for me in Delight, and in this position I'm in. But I also have like tons of lows. I struggle so much with validation. I like seek validation in everything that I do, not like over obsessive, but like if something happens, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing terribly wrong, and I can't do any more than what I'm doing when I'm giving it my all. So I think a big challenge has been my actual leadership team. They have been the most amazing girls, and they're doing amazing things, and I love watching them lead and work together and like just have such a passion and a drive, which has also been another high. We went to our leadership conference, and it was just amazing to see these girls just like give it all to the Lord and surrender it all and have that bonding experience. But then also like some moments we just like our brains don't connect, and we don't have the same views, or we don't have the same like looks. Like we want something to look a different way, and instead of like taking that with a grain of salt, sometimes my brain goes, oh my gosh, they don't like me, and they're rejecting me, and they're rejecting my ways and my thoughts because they don't like this one thing that happened. When I did the same exact thing to them, but my brain just was like, oh my gosh, it's me, when it's really not. So it's been a whole thing that I've tried to overcome. But in that, I seek like wisdom from my regional director, and she was able to walk me through it, and then we had conversations that really just glorified the Lord and pulled out, hey, like this is what the enemy's saying and this is what the Lord is saying. And it was super cool to kind of just like hone in and like focus on him instead of focusing on all the negative things that my like brain and like the enemy can pull out, instead of what the Lord is actually pulling out and like using the situation for.
That's good.
Okay, so the next topic we're going to talk about is how we use the Lord within our internships. So Piper and I are both in elementary education majors at UNF, and we are required 3 semesters of our final 2 years to be inside a classroom 1 day a week with a mentor teacher, to kind of just continue to learn and progress in those internships before final semester, which will be every single day for a whole semester in that classroom. And so these past couple semesters we've had just 1 day a week, and I want to know what is something that you found difficult in your internship, which is going to be our future career field, and were able to like hop on the Lord's back so we could carry you through.
It's a really good question. Like a little bit of context, we have to be in the classroom from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then we go straight from class from 4:30 to 7:50. So when I say like these are long days, these are long days. There was many days where I didn't want to go. Like, so honestly, you don't want to go. And it's to a point where it's not my own strength that I can draw on to go. It's not my own patience, my own desire. I have to really draw on the Lord. There's days that I'm literally so exhausted that I'm sitting in the back of the classroom and I'm writing a prayer in the back of my notebook saying like, Lord, give me strength to get through this day. Because in this situation, we're not just sitting in the back of the classroom observing. In that moment I was, because it was whole group, but whatever. We're really interacting with the kids, and we're really hands-on. We're that second level of, behavior management. We're that second level of help for these kids. Like, we're mentally turned on all day long. So it's rough. And then there was this really one specific moment where there was just like a little bit of conflict, I guess you could say, with supervisors. And I was definitely, it was all through email, of course. So I was definitely like, oh my gosh, like I have to go into the classroom the next day, and I just had this, in my eyes, really awful conversation with my supervisor, my mentor, someone above me. Like, how am I going to walk through this gracefully? How am I going to walk into the classroom tomorrow and act so unaffected when I'm deeply distraught, honestly? And so that was a night that I really had to just kind of like physically get on my hands and my knees and be like, Lord, like I need you right now. Like, I'm not going to walk into that classroom with a clean slate by myself. It's not going to happen. I want to be able to walk the doors of the classroom unbothered in the way that like there's something different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can walk through that and someone can look at you and be like, okay, there's something different about her. And that was my goal there. And I will say that gave me like a layer of patience. I struggle with anxiety. That really, think without that, it would have been an awful morning. But honestly, I was able to walk into the classroom with just so much peace, knowing that I didn't have to walk in alone. And it all worked out. At the end of the day, definitely will say having that like mentality walking in helps. Obviously, when there's conflict and misunderstanding, is walking in with a soft heart always is going to be the better choice. So yeah, I'm really interested to hear your answer, Grace.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so one of my internships, we're lower elementary, so we're like first, second, around there. So I was in and we don't get to pick, also for reference, you don't get to pick what school you're in, who your teacher is, what grade you're in, or what subject. They pick for you completely, and it changes every single semester. So the one semester I was put in a lower elementary at a school that I really didn't know, and with a teacher that I also didn't know. So you're going in blind. You're getting to know this teacher from the ground level. Like, you have to build a whole connection, get to know them, they get to know you. And it also depends how much they want to invest in you as you're investing too. So, so I walked in first day and I loved my mentor teacher. She was a very sweet person. I just noticed that our outlooks on life were different, and our outlooks on the education field were also different, along with the reasoning and the passion and the why behind teaching. If you ever ask a teacher their why, they'll know exactly what you mean, because it's a very prominent thing in like the teacher culture. It's like, why do you want to get into like teaching? What's your why? And everyone's is different, honestly.
Yeah.
Everyone's varies. It's so different. Personally, my why is I want to show kids and like I want to reignite and cultivate their love of learning through showing them that they're loved and seen and heard, and that someone cares. By doing that and showing them all of that, like that you're present in their life and you care, kind of just will be able to like then cultivate a love of learning. Like from there, they'll be like, you love learning, so I want to love learning. And like it just is a whole like cycle where I entered this classroom and the teachers' why was just not driven in a passion for the kids and the love of learning. It was more driven from worldly views, and that just makes an impact in teaching that I see personally. So that was super hard for me. I went in for 3 or 4 weeks, and I just could feel the weight of that being put on my shoulders, that it was a more, not a negative environment, but it was just hindering me negatively, knowing that my person that I was with all day from 8 to 3 didn't have the same views as me, and they weren't really like happy about their life. It was more of like a, let me tell you what's wrong and be that person for me. And I am that person. I will be a listener when you need me to be a listening ear. But I also want to hear the good things, and I want to celebrate, and I want to encourage. Like I shared before, I'm an encourager. Like, let me encourage you in the things that you need to be encouraged in. So I just like really had to take a minute, take a step back to seek wisdom, and just like go to the Lord and be like, what am I doing? Do I go to my higher ups and ask for a change in pace, in classroom, in grade? What do I do? Do I stick it out? Is there a way that I can kind of talk to her, maybe introduce the Lord to her. So then the next week I came in with the thought that I was probably going to switch and ask to switch because it just wasn't a healthy place for me mentally. With the negative weight, I know that I suffer with also anxiety, and I can suffer with depression at the same time inwardly, and I knew it was just not going to be a healthy place for me to continue to feel that weight and feel that burden, even though I wanted to be there for those kids. And I prayed really hard, and I went in that day, and it was like a switch went off. I finally sought the Lord, and I finally allow people to come into it too. So I talked to my disciple group leader, and I talked to wise people in my life, and they were able to help and pray, and I invited people in, and immediately there was a switch. And that's not going to be immediate for everything. The Lord works, but He was using it for a reason. The kids showed me and gave me a reminder of why I'm going into this field. It's because it's not for the teachers, it's not for those relationships. Yes, I want a relationship with them, but it's the kids. I absolutely love those kids. And one of my students who spoke no English came up to me and said 3 words in English. And I was ecstatic, and they all knew my name. And it just reminded me, and it was a reminder He just kind of instilled, you're not doing it to be liked. You're not doing it to have these relations. You're doing it to have these relations with these kids and make a difference in these kids' lives. And it was just a cool reminder that the Lord, when you lean on Him, He'll show you. It wasn't a soft answered prayer. The environment didn't change, but it changed when I focused my perspective on a different object. So that was so cool.
That was good.
Okay, our
Speak now. Okay, guys, we're gonna move on to the next topic, which is time. As you might know, if you're in college, if you're not, and you still probably would understand, is it's busy, it's hard, it's rough. We're in the trenches out here. So really walking through and having the Lord in your life and giving Him your time is something that is so hard. It's probably one of the hardest things to do. Is something that I really struggle with, and we're just going to talk about it. We'll talk about what it looks like to give the Lord your time, what it looks like to not give the Lord your time. I can shed a light on what it doesn't look like to give the Lord your time. Definitely get caught up in being a leader in the ministry, working part-time, being a full-time student, and then still having time to pour into your relationships with your friends and your significant others and your family even. It's hard, it's rough. It genuinely feels like there's not enough hours in the day. And I found that in school there's weeks where when the semester's over, right now during Christmas break, and we have too much time on our hands and we start a YouTube channel. And then there's times when we are literally go 24/7, and it's kind of where does the Lord fit in all of this? And so Grace here is much better than me at this, so she's going to share some things that she's been doing the past few days and share how that's been working for her.
Okay, that's crazy. One thing I also wanted to say is Piper said earlier when we were just chatting and yapping about what we were going to chat and yap about, and we wanted to focus on, she said, even when you get caught up in the busy, still give your time to God. And I feel like that was a big, something hit and sparked my brain. I liked that. And I want to reflect on that personally in my own life. So I also struggle with it. So that she made me seem like I'm awesome and amazing. And yeah, I'm awesome and amazing, but not all the time at all. So I definitely struggle really bad with that. And one concept that I did struggle with, and I want you to know that it's okay to struggle and to be open and vulnerable with your struggles. I kind of tend to hide it because I don't want people to know that I'm not in my word whenever I'm struggling. Even though it's very present and you can tell from the outside perspective. Other people can tell. I can tell. I know when I'm not, but I can also tell from how I'm acting. And sometimes I'll respond in a bad way, and I'm like, why did I respond that way? It's because I'm not in the Lord. Your Lord is always there, but you're not going to act on it if you don't know who He is, and you're not actively seeking to find Him. One way that has recently helped me has been waking up at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. The sun is not even up. I'm a morning person, normally not that early of a morning person, but I've been waking up at 6:30 a.m. I'll take a shower just to rinse off and just kind of wake my brain up, and I immediately sit on my bed with my Bible. And I'm not perfect every day. I haven't probably done the wake up thing in a week. But when I'm doing it, I'm active in my word. and I'm enjoying my word because it's in the morning and it's before all the stressors have hit my brain yet because I'm not even like awake yet. And it just opens up a new clarity where you're able to just sit there with the Lord, especially when the world feels like it hasn't started moving yet. Like your roommates aren't awake, the sun's not up, like you don't have anywhere to be in the next couple hours. So when I'll wake up at 6:30 and I won't have anywhere to be till 3 p.m. So I just like come out here and then I'll start my day and I'll clean. But I know I've had that time with the Lord and I've made that priority and that commitment to just sit with Him. What's the benefit in what I'm doing right now? Like, what are you seeking to glorify? Like, what do you want me to glorify for you? But it's hard. That makes me seem like I'm amazing and I'm doing it all the time and I have it all together, and I don't. I genuinely don't. Flashing forward or backward to our last video, if you watched it, when I talked about how Piper called me out, she's not gonna like this because she thinks she sounds mean, but I absolutely think it's one of my most favorite things about her is how she can call you out and yet make me feel so loved and seen. But she ended up, one time we were just chatting and we were just talking, and then she was like, have you been in your word recently? And I was like, no. And she's like, I can tell. Like, in the nicest way possible. Like, she thinks I'm being mean. Like, it starts to sound mean, but I think a true friend is someone that's going to call you out. And is going to be like, hey, I love you so much, and I can tell that you're not in your word, and I want you to be in your word. And I think that is something just so valuable in a friendship. That's something I value so, so, so much.